Coming up on Mountain News this morning, police in our region warn about scammers who seek to steal information by pretending to be them. And Governor Andy Beshear continues to have high approval in the Commonwealth as he is named the most popular Democratic governor in America.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning to you on this Monday. It's almost 5:35 here. I'm Dakota Makris. Thanks so much for waking up with us. And speaking of waking up, let's go over to Brandon for a look at our forecast. And that cold will wake you up if you head out the door this morning.
I think I'm awake.
Are you?
I think.
I hope so. You've been over there sitting down and you're doing your little agenda planning or whatever you're doing.
I've got things on the agenda for this week.
Do you have my birthday for February 13th on your?
I do not. I'll add that though.
I'll add it for you. Don't worry about it.
Okay, good
I'll
deal.
do that for you.
All right. Let's talk about the forecast this morning. And yes, it did snow over the weekend if you missed that. And it's still snow up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain this morning on US 119. Not on the road, but on the sides of the road. It's just like at my house. It did not melt because the sun didn't shine on it this weekend. It got pretty warm yesterday into the 40s and low 50s out across the region. But this morning it is chilly. 19 in Jonesville to 32 in Williamsburg, Jackson, and Wise this morning. That is the range out there. Several spots dropping again, but the warm air is surging in. Look at Paducah, 51 out there. Carbondale is at 50, but the further east you come, the cooler it is. 24 in the Tri-Cities, 22 in Charleston, West Virginia. Heading up to about 55 here at home. Even with the cloud cover, southwest winds are going to crank up the heat for us the next few days, but a drop is coming with a cold front at the end of the week. And the weekend, well, let's just say Sunday could be interesting. I'll tell you more about that coming up here in just a little bit. Dakota?
All right, Brendan, thank you. Well, one person is dead after a crash on Kentucky 3439 in Knox County. Kentucky State Police troopers say the driver of a 2010 Dodge Ram truck was driving north Saturday evening when the truck hit a person walking in the road. The person was identified as 24-year-old Brandon Warren. Warren was taken to Barberville ARH for his injuries, but he later died. The crash is still under investigation. 4 people were arrested on drug charges in Harlan County on Friday. Police assisted in a home visit in the Cross Plant community. When they arrived, they say Ashley Cobb threw a bag of suspected meth out the back door. They say Linda Taylor was trying to destroy evidence. R.C. Henry, Ashley Cobb, and Amy Gross were arrested for the possession of a controlled substance. Linda Taylor was charged with trafficking in controlled substance. Other drug-related charges were also filed. With the countless phone scammers out there targeting innocent people, several sheriff's offices and police stations across the region are working to make people more aware to prevent them from becoming victims. Our Alyssa Williams tells us what to look for.
One Southeast Kentucky Police Department is dealing with the fallout from a phone scam that is conning people out of money. But why are people falling for the scam? Well, in this case, the caller is pretending to be a member of the police department.
They knew the name of our chief of police. Sometimes they'll use the sheriff of that county or that jurisdiction. They'll have their information, name, titles, stuff like that that can seem very, very convincing.
London Police Department Corporal Drew Jackson says an individual or organization is posing as officials with the London Police Department. The scammer is calling people and claiming to have a warrant for their arrests and telling them they must pay the department to get out of it.
We've had several people actually send money, $500, $1,000, and it's a real issue we're having right now.
Jackson says there are countless other phone scams beyond this one, like prize money scams or debt collection scams that people are falling for.
When we have these types of complaints, it's typically older males or females who may not be up to date on this current situation.
Jackson says regardless of how legitimate the individual seems over the phone, you should never give them your social security number, credit card information, or any other personal details.
I can't think of many professional organizations or doctor's offices that will call and request any personal information or money from anyone. So if you do get a phone call of that nature, it's completely false.
And if you do not know the number calling, Jackson says that's an even bigger red flag to not answer the phone.
I've seen several, even myself had several phone calls. On my iPhone, it'll say maybe another country. Obviously avoid those if you're not familiar with that number. If you don't have, family or any business in that area, you should definitely avoid it.
If you have any information on a phone scam or feel as though you are a victim of one, police are asking that you contact your local law enforcement agency to report it. In London, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Kentucky State Police Trooper Matt Gayhart says if someone is caught scamming others, they can be charged with theft by deception. And depending on the amount of money they scam people for, they can serve up to 10 years in prison. Well, we have information about another phone scam making rounds. This one's out of Prestonsburg. Prestonsburg police officers say someone is spoofing the 911 communications number and claiming they have a warrant for your arrest. The number shows up as 606-886-1010. They warn the scammer is trying to get your personal information. Prestonsburg police wanted to remind everyone that they will never contact you by phone in the case of a warrant, and you should never give away personal information. Well, finding a place to live has been an issue in eastern Kentucky, but the July flood has only intensified the problem. Our Chandler Wilcox explains how the issue has slowed down the recovery process.
Finding a spot to build a house has never been simple in Appalachia.
We don't have a ton of flat property to build on, so you go through some urban communities, you've got neighborhoods of hundreds of homes. We don't have spaces traditionally to set that up the same way.
With limited space to build, the housing shortage has led to a slower recovery process for flood survivors.
We've got these people in these campers that are needing housing, and a lot of them have took more time to process it because they were in houses, they were in the campers, so they didn't need it right then. And now that it's coming along for them in the process, they need that and it's not there for them.
Many homes will need to be entirely rebuilt. The flood knocked houses off their foundation, and some residences that still stand are condemned. And after losing everything, they are relying on government assistance to afford rebuilding.
Yeah, I'd like to get back to my place, but I can't do nothing till they settle with me.
There have been local organizations answering the call. The Housing Development Alliance created a plan called Higher Ground. HDA officials say the group will build 4 homes in each flooded county, but just one organization cannot change the housing landscape of a region.
I think the hardest part about all of this is there's no light switch you can flip to fix this issue immediately. Even if HDA is building homes, it takes so much time to do that. So it's not a next day fix.
Without an immediate fix, finding a new home is another delay in recovery. In Hazard, Chandler Wilcox, WYMT Mountain News.
Kentucky River Community Care Counselor Danita White says flood survivors do not have a timeline for when they must be out of their campers. Well, Governor Andy Beshear has been named the most popular Democratic governor in America. It is the second year he's earned that title from a research firm. The research from Morning Consult says 60% of Kentuckians approve of the governor's performance, and 46% of Republicans are in favor of his work so far. The firm also found the 7 other governors who rank above Beshear are all Republicans. The governor rated the highest in the U.S. is Republican Phil Scott of Vermont with an 81% approval rating. Well, coming up on Mountain News this morning, an actor with the DC Cinematic Universe pleads guilty to several charges relating from a case back in 2022. We'll have more on that in just a few minutes.
And rain chances will be around for much of this week, along with milder than average temperatures. I'll have the latest forecast in about 3 minutes.